And we are live. Welcome to the NBA Strategy Show. It is Monday, June 16th. I am Josh Engleman here to break down Game 5 of the NBA Finals. 2-2, Thunder, Pacers. The series has been exceptional so far, and we're back again today for the real one, because if OKC wins here, it's going to feel over. If the Pacers win here, we are going to have a hell of a Thursday. Hit the like button, subscribe to the channel, hit the notification bell so you know when everything goes live. Follow me on Twitter. I am very excited to talk about today's game. I am very excited to talk about what we might see later tonight. But what we really need to talk about now is not the NBA Finals. It is the fact that Desmond Bane was traded yesterday from the Memphis Grizzlies to the Orlando Magic for KCP, Cole Anthony, and some picks, including like 15 this year, the Suns unprotected 2026, 2 unprotected Magic picks in 28 and 30, and a pick swap. I'll be honest, man, that was not what I was expecting to see yesterday. I was just sitting around, and then all of a sudden I looked down at my phone and saw a trade that I never saw coming. Just, the NBA is amazing. So let's talk through it, because I've had some more time to think about it. And I truly don't really know where I land on this trade. So let's start with the easy stuff. At least for 2025, the Magic are significantly better than they were before. You turn Desmond Bane, you take KCP out of the starting lineup, and you turn that into Desmond Bane. It's a giant increase. In terms of what they have for 2025, for 25-26, for this coming season, giant upgrade. You look at the state of the East right now, and it is in flux. To me, I know we'll get pushback here right away. There's one team in the top tier, at least at this moment. Obviously, there is a lot subject to change. I have one team at the top tier in the East, and that's the Cleveland Cavaliers. And then I think there's a group of teams in tier 2. And for the most part, I'm just talking about what this is going to look like on paper. But you've got Indiana, you've got the Knicks, you've now got the Magic, you've got the Sixers, and I know where everybody's going to go with this. I am not a believer in the Sixers in the playoffs, but ultimately their raw talent on paper is going to grade out quite well in all betting markets. Those teams, Pacers, Magic, Knicks, Sixers, am I missing one? Oh, Celtics to a degree. Yeah, let's do that. Cleveland, to me, tier 1 by themselves. Boston, Knicks, Pacers, Magic, I think, and then the Sixers. To me, that 5-man group is the next tier of the East. So we're seeing it right now with the Pacers. And we know that a team can make a run. There's no reason that the Magic next year couldn't be this year's Pacers. I feel the same way about the Knicks. I feel the same way about technically Philly, but I don't think that Philly can play like this. But on paper, they've just got a lot of raw talent. So for this coming season, I love it. Like, there's There's no doubt about it. They are significantly better. However, I'm very nervous about what this actually ends up being long term. And I do wonder if this ultimately results in a trade of probably Franz Wagner. Now, not for this year, but you've got Franz this year starting his extension. Fine. You've already got Suggs on his first extension on a descending contract. That's a very good contract. Paolo is about to get a max. He is undoubtedly going to extend for the full bag at 25%. On the off chance that he makes an all-NBA team next year, he will get the full bag 30%. And you've got Bane now at 37 coming into this year, 39.5 the following year, 42, 45. I don't think that they can maintain this salary structure moving forward. I think this is untenable in the way that the CBA is set up now, the way that the first apron and second apron are impacting teams. I don't think that this is fiscally workable for Orlando long term. I see this as a 2-year window before one of these guys needs to go away. And look, 2 years from now, the NBA could be a completely different thing. Like 2 years ago, you would think, well, we're the Dallas Mavericks. We can trade first round picks. We have Luka Doncic. And now Luka Doncic plays in Los Angeles. The future comes at you fast. So as a present day move, this team has a 23-year-old, a 24-year-old, a 24-year-old, and a 27-year-old heading into this season. That's a really good young nucleus. I don't know how they keep this together. And ultimately, I expect one of these guys to have to go away. And to me, the only one that could be is Franz. Because they're never getting rid of Paolo until they are, but you know what I mean. The Suggs contract and the position that he plays seems like he has to stay. And you just traded for Desmond Bane. I think this ultimately ends up in Franz Wagner somewhere else, but that's 2 years from now. But Franz, Bane, Suggs, Banchero, Wendell Carter Jr. is a really good starting five. I do wonder what their closing lineup looks like, because if we're seeing anything in the playoffs right now, the goal is Paolo Banchero at the 5. And they need then Anthony Black to become something different, or they need a different dude. But what we're seeing in the playoffs right now couldn't be any clearer to me. In an actualized version of the NBA real games, Paolo Banchero is playing the 5 down the stretch. If the Indiana Pacers are going to feel comfortable in the finals going to Obi Toppin, you best believe Paolo Banchero needs to be that dude. So I get it for the Magic. I'm nervous that financially this doesn't work, but they are very live in 2026. Now, for the Grizzlies, to a degree, I get it. You're sitting here and you're looking at a core of Ja Morant, of Desmond Bane, and of Triple J, and you're immediately like, well, OKC has SGA, J-Dub, and Chet, and our 3 guys aren't as good as those 3 guys. You've got whatever the hell San Antonio's building. You've got whatever the hell Houston's building. Dallas, whatever, however further you want to go on that one for the West. Feels hard to trade Ja Morant. I mean, he is about as popular as any player can be in one town in Memphis. You don't ever get rid of guys like Triple J. And this trade saves them $2 million. All they're trying to do now is free up enough money to renegotiate and extend Jaren Jackson. He is an unrestricted free agent after next year. What they need to do is renegotiate and extend. They can't just give him an extension. They need to become a cap room team heading into next year so that they can give Triple J a real contract, because they don't have the mechanism to extend him otherwise. So any little bit they can get from that makes sense. And now they get a middle of the first round pick. They get an unprotected Suns pick, couple more in the coffer. I tend to think that this is not a teardown of the Grizzlies, and that they're going to try to use some of this to move their guys around in a different manner. But I don't hate this for the Grizzlies. You know, Ja's going to miss 25 games. I think Cole Anthony is a perfectly reasonable backup guard on a completely reasonable contract right now. KCP couldn't really have had much worse of a year. I am a bigger believer in him having a bit of a bounce back this year. But that'll be big. If he's cooked, that sucks. And that's part of the reason you saw as many picks go out as you did. If he was a 5 years straight 40% three-point shooter that dropped to 35% this year. Is that because there's no spacing whatsoever on Orlando? Maybe. But I think they could rehab him. I certainly think they can flip him again. If he rehabs his value at all this season, I think it would be very easy to move KCP at a deadline, or at the very least next summer on a $20 million expiring contract. I tweeted this out yesterday, and I feel like people are really sleeping on this, and like it's getting lost to just like the way that the season ended. The Memphis Grizzlies had the 7th best net rating in the league this year at +5. That's 2.8 points better than Indiana was this season. 2-game difference. I don't care about game results. This Memphis team was here right now. And I think that we're lost on, what if Memphis just turns Bane into those assets and those picks, and they use that to get something better than Desmond Bane? I think that's feasible. So while I don't think that Memphis has any real chance to like win an NBA title next year, clearly, I think they're better than a lot of people are giving them credit for. I don't totally know why that they're getting slept on the way they were. They had the point differential of a 53-win team. No team underperformed their point differential more than the Memphis Grizzlies did this year. They were 5 wins behind that mark. You've got your new coach in, you're moving your pieces around a little bit. I want to see what Memphis looks like when this season's done, or when this offseason's done, because I am much more of a believer in Memphis than it appears on paper. But obviously they just took a giant step back. I think there's another move coming for a different rotation piece. But this could also just be the way that they renegotiate and extend Triple J and bring back Santi Aldama. But man, that's fun to get this bad boy out of nowhere. And I think there are a lot more deals to come. I think this is going to be one of the most entertaining off seasons that we've seen. And I'm anxious to see what both of these teams look like. But shout out to the Magic for making a move. I don't know if it's the one, but boy, oh boy, does he fit. He really couldn't fit better on this team. They get another creator. They get a great shooter. Both of those things are going to help massively. He's not a great defender, but he's not a bad defender. Will fit perfectly. The Magic defense shouldn't really be impacted at all. This should still be a fantastic defensive team, but now they should probably be better than 26th on offense. This was the number 2 defense last year, number 26 offense. I think just bringing Bane in there dramatically improves that offensive number. Run the bases. Yeah, my expectation is that Giannis stays in Milwaukee. That's been my take from the jump. Look, all it takes is one team being like, I want Giannis, and they give him everything, and then he does go. Because eventually, Milwaukee has to think about themselves, but it feels like he's staying. It feels like he's staying. That's a hell of a jump off for us. We had to touch on it. Desmond Bane getting traded yesterday needed to be talked about before we got into this. We've talked about the Thunder and the Pacers a lot at this point. So, yeah, that's the deal. Will their defense suffer with Bane? No, I don't think so. Not in any, tangible way. Yes, technically speaking, KCP is a better defender than Desmond Bane. But I'd much rather be 16th in offense and 6th in defense than 26th and 2. But it's a fun trade, and we got a lot more of these to come, because what does Cleveland do? What does Boston do? What does Houston do? What does Minnesota do? Do the Knicks do anything? How can Denver improve? What does Golden State do? The Pacers are sitting here. Do they try to make any moves? I don't know. That'd be interesting. Pistons clearly want to. We got a lot of teams with a lot of moving parts. They lost their worst defensive player in Cole. I mean, Cole Anthony's defense is irrelevant to this conversation. He's a backup guard. But ultimately, I think the Grizzlies mildly won the trade. Here's my question. If Bane is worth that, what is KD worth? Significantly less. Significantly less. All right. Well, I got my trade talk out of the way. Let's talk Game 5. Hit that like button if you're here, guys. 14K for Shai Gilgeous-Alexander. $3,000 more expensive than Tyrese Halliburton. Shai is still coming in at 73% owned, 10% more than J-Dub at 9,800, which, by the way, is a really awesome price tag. So we're getting a little over 20% ownership in the captain spot to SGA and just shy of 20% to J-Dub. Those two guys are separating from a captain perspective. 40% of your captain ownerships are going to SGA and J-Dub. The other 60 to everybody else. You're not surprised to see it from Shai. I mean, he projects better than everybody in this game by a lot. And then for J-Dub, I mean, he's $200 cheaper than Siakam. He's $1,200 cheaper than Tyrese Halliburton. They're going back to Oklahoma City. J-Dub is underpriced for today. And that's why you're seeing him at 60% ownership overall. And then you're not seeing anybody else over 50. Only Halliburton and Holmgren got to the mid 40s. So I think it's pretty clear that Shai is like your best raw points overall guy. The dude that, as long as Shai has a average game, it's hard for him to not be in the winning lineup because you're just expecting too many fantasy points. I think it's pretty clear that Jalen Williams is the best overall play today. 9,800 is not the proper price. If anything, you're going to start to see I don't want to say more minutes, like these guys are going to play 44 because I don't think they can, but even an extra minute, an extra 2 minutes at 9,800 for him back at home, clear easiest play to get to. Halliburton at 11K is terrifying to me. 47% ownership is fine. 10% ownership of the captain. Like, I'm not surprised by those numbers. This is a terrible spot for him. Going to Oklahoma City at a price tag that is a bit too high for what we have here. And then you have Chet at 8,800. I think the three best captain options are the ones getting the most ownership, and they're all from Oklahoma City. It's SGA, it's J-Dub, and it's Chet. And then you have to play this game where it's, do I want $5,200 Aaron Nesmith, or do I want $5,600 Andrew Nembhard, who are both 40% owned overall, 5% owned at the captain. They are very dependent on each other in different ways based on foul trouble. Nesmith can't stop fouling in this series. Nembhard is working as hard as any one individual defender can work, unless you want to compare him to Dort. But offensively, it becomes a little bit more difficult for Nembhard. So those guys become a bit of a coin flip. And then you get to Siakam, who's been great in spurts. Probably should be the finals MVP if the Pacers win. But at 10K, 6% at the captain, 35% owned, he is not very cost effective. Because you really kind of need him to beat Chet and J-Dub and Tyrese Halliburton in that group, or at least only get beat by one of them. So I do find Siakam scary. It's not stopping me from getting there. He's projected for 35.4% ownership. I have 35.3. So like the exact same number. It's the rest of these guys that I feel like we need to have the conversation about. And I feel like I say that a lot, but I don't need to tell you guys about SGA, J-Dub, Halliburton, or Chet, or Siakam. That's just, if you guys have the feel, you're just going to play who you want. But we've got $7,200 Miles Turner, who has, at least offensively, not been great in this series. I mean, he was 0 for 6 from 3, I believe, last time out, and it wasn't much better in game 3. So far in this series, Miles Turner's played 115 minutes. He is 4 for 20 from 3. And it's not like he's getting bad looks. And some of his misses were real bad. Does that mean he was more sick than we thought he was? It could be. How's he feeling today after getting the weekend off? Is this just what Miles Turner is? I mean, he's not a 20% three-point shooter, but you know what I mean. Is this matchup just too difficult for him from a confidence perspective, getting those threes up? I don't know. But 4 of 20 from 3 so far for Miles Turner. And then he's sitting here at 7,200, pulling 30% ownership. That's a scary guy to me today, because I feel like he is the linchpin to whether or not the Indiana Pacers win this game. If Miles Turner isn't shooting 20% from 3 today, and that look is starting to fall, they're in a much different spot, because that's a way that they can be better. Because the defense is going to be there for Turner, especially in matchups against Chet. Chet loses that matchup every time. But you got to be optimistic that Miles Turner's shot's going to start to fall. 5K Hartenstein really scares me. In 20 minutes, you are going to get a lot of work in the paint. And to a degree, I'm really interested in Hartenstein, at least because they're at home. And it's a trickle-down effect for it. Thunder at home. In theory, the Pacers should be worse on the road. I think we would all agree there. If they are worse on the road, in theory, that should also mean more missed shots. More missed shots basically impact Isaiah Hartenstein more than any other player in this series. Can he get there on the boards and then just find enough touches around the rim, offensive rebounds, whatever, to pay off 5K? Because you look at Hartenstein and you look at Dort, basically the same price, basically the same ownership. Dort clearly going to play 10 plus minutes more than Hartenstein, or at least that's the intention. If that's not happening, that's a very different game. But Dort isn't going to do anything other than rack up defensive stats and hit moonball threes. Those are the only things in the cards. Couple random loose ball rebounds, maybe. But what you need out of Dort is every shot he takes to go. Whereas Hartenstein, bit more of a wild card. I think the balance between those two guys is very interesting, and they don't really impact each other. At least for right now, on my first run, slightly under the field to Hartenstein, slightly under the field for Lou Dort. And a lot of that has to do with the amount of Shea that I'm getting. I mean, Caruso at 6,800 right now, whoo, that's a big price tag. That's tough to pay off. I mean, Alex Caruso is $400 cheaper than Miles Turner today. That's a big price tag. I'm surprised that he's still getting to 27% ownership. Cason Wallace has not looked good for the past two games. However, I tend to think that Cason Wallace is going to look a bit better at home than he has on the road. I think this is a better environment for Cason Wallace. I don't think this is a better environment for TJ. He's definitely a more interesting option to me in Indiana than he is in Oklahoma City. Topping at 6K, I think that's a very interesting combination with Turner. I think you're probably taking a stand on one of those guys in either direction. Mathurin will just always be Benedict Mathurin, a guy that can go out there and get to the rim, try to draw some fouls. He's going to take any shot he can get, but we know what the peaks and we know what the valleys are for Mathurin. And then you got to try to figure out the value. Ben Shepherd will be in the rotation. The amount of minutes he plays is somewhat dependent on the foul trouble for Nembhard or Nesmith, or if the fact that he can make any open threes. Aaron Wiggins was atrocious last time out. Can he find the form that he did when he dropped 20 real points? If he does, 2,200 is not going to be nearly enough. Kenrich Williams was the guy that actually got real run last time out. Way more than I was ever expecting. We got a, 1 minute rotation at the end of the first quarter. He played the first 5.5 minutes of the second quarter, did get another minute in the third, played another 4 minutes at the beginning of the fourth, played 11 minutes total. I don't think he's going anywhere. Does he have to play 11? No. Does, 8 make you feel a little bit more confident? Yes. 1,600, 9% owned. He's a guy you're going to get to a bunch if you're playing a lot of Shea. And then the guy that I think could be a bit of a wild card today is Isaiah Joe. He is unowned at 5%. He's 1,400. The minutes have not existed for him. So far in this series, Isaiah Joe has played 5, 4, 6, and 11 minutes. At home, I find him more interesting. Again, all we're talking about is bench guys at home versus on the road. Every time they put him out there, the spacing works, the shooting works. The problem is defensively, they're going to pick on him because he's really the only guy that can get picked on. But if those shots start to fall a little bit, I could easily see Joe go from 5 minutes to 9 minutes, especially in a series at home. So I find the cheap value today to be the most interesting way to build the lineup in this series. Joe, 3 of 6 from 3 so far this series. So all I see is goal. I don't know how true that is, but he's taken 6. He's made 3 of them. He's definitely not missing his threes. But whether it's Joe, Kenrich, Wiggins, I'm happy to add Ben Shepherd to this list because those are the 4 guys under 20% ownership. I kind of like them all in different ways. I personally would rank them Kenrich, Wiggins, Joe, Shepherd, but Joe Wiggins is closer to me than it seems. I'm very interested to see 2 things. And it's basically how the Thunder ended up winning game 4. And that was running a 2-man game of Jalen Williams and SGA. And that was with SGA screening for J-Dub, which was able to get SGA a live dribble in a better spot. I want to know how much more they're going to go to that today. My expectation is quite a bit more than we've seen for most of this series and a lot more like it did down the stretch of game 4. But more importantly, I want to know what Rick Carlisle is going to do to combat it, because now he's had 2 days to put in something to defend that 2-man J-Dub SGA action. Because what SGA wants is to get Nesmith. Now, I've been looking at the SGA Nembhard matchup a little bit differently than most of the conversation. And I want to be clear. Nembhard is making SGA work in a big way. He is in his jersey 24/7. Like, he's all over him. But when Shea can get any sort of dribble penetration with Nembhard on him, I think Shea is very happy when he gets to his spot. I think he's comfortable shooting over him. But this is sort of like the opposite of Jalen Brunson, where Brunson wanted to do anything in his power to get away from Nesmith and to get to Nembhard. SGA wants to do it the opposite way. And so much of that has to do with the fact that Aaron Nesmith can't help himself. SGA thinks that he can get Aaron Nesmith fouls quickly. So I'm interested to see how much they're running the J-Dub, Shea, small pick and roll. I guess I shouldn't say small, it's J-Dub. But what do the Pacers do in that matchup? How are they switching it? Are they fighting through it? Are they sending someone else? I don't know what that action's going to be. But that is what I think the Thunder are going to lean on a little bit more here. All I see is gold. Okay, if he was 2 of 2 from 3 in that game, then he was 1 for 4 in the other games. If that's what we're going to say is he's not making his threes, kudos. Man, he's taken 6 of them in the series. He doesn't play. Fuck, he went 2 for 2 and they still didn't keep him out there. So even making the threes didn't seem to matter. He made those 2 threes and never saw the floor again. He had ice packs on within 15 minutes. Nesmith foul trouble will be an issue tonight if SGA has his druthers. When I ran my sims to start the day, my 5 biggest fades Number 1 was the same guy that it's been for what feels like every game in this series. That's Aaron Nesmith. Very light. Totally cool with it. Number 2 was Halliburton. Number 3 was Case and Wallace. 4 was Dort, and 5 was Mathurin. On the surface, I am very happy with all 5 of those names. I do not mind being light on Nesmith. I do not mind being light on Halliburton. I do not mind being light on Case and Wallace, although he is the guy that would probably scare me the most here. If Dort's going to hit a bunch of moon balls like he does, touche. I don't have him. And then I'll bet on not Mathurin in this one. The stands that I have: Kenrich Williams, J-Dub, SGA, Isaiah Joe, and my boy, the one guy that I definitely don't want the volume that I have of, TJ McConnell. McConnell is in a bunch of my lineups right now. That is not something that I like in this series. It was pretty bad in game 4. They just continue to give up a lot of points when he's out there. Let's see, what's the defensive rating now after game 4 with TJ McConnell on? Oh, recovered a bit, but still, they're giving up 115 with TJ on the floor, but they're also -8 in those 68 minutes. They are scoring 107 points per 100 possessions in the 147 possessions that TJ McConnell has been on the floor. They are really struggling to score with him out there, which is pretty crazy considering they're also shooting 41% from 3 at that time. Of course he's my boy. What have I said during these shows that would make anybody think that TJ McConnell isn't my guy? I've been incredibly complimentary of TJ McConnell. But yeah, I don't like my exposure to him right now. I don't like him in this game. I don't like him for the Pacers. I do not like green eggs and ham. I do not like them. Sam, I am. That said, he's probably going to end up in a decent chunk of my lineups. I don't really think that's going to change, which will be the one thing that I don't really like. Is there anybody you want me to touch on right now? Anybody that I haven't talked about yet? Anything that you guys want me to dig in on? Do I probably have TJ captain? Oh yeah, I have more TJ McConnell captain than I could ever possibly want right now. Any TJ McConnell captain that I have is more than I want, and I have more than that. Not a good time. Oh, all right. I haven't asked the question yet, but let's ask it right now. And I'm not going to ask who wins, because I think that would be a silly question. So who covers? As of right now, the line is 9.5. Who covers today? Pacers or Thunder? I lean Thunder because it's a home, but it is just a scary spot overall. Headhunter Racing says Pacers. Sean Sullivan says Pacers. Chino is Dope says Pacers. Pharaoh says Pacers. A lot of Pacers answers here today. Which, I gotta be honest with you, that makes me like Oklahoma City more. Steven, no, I don't think they're tied to anything other than they just think he's a functional rotational piece. When is Durant getting traded to the Wolves? My guess would be never. But I wouldn't rule it out, but I don't think that's happening. Pacers keep finding ways to keep it close. They do. They do. I don't look at that as a good thing, though. Others may see it differently. KD goes to whoever loses the finals. Yeah, he's definitely not going to the Pacers. Or the Thunder. Although that would be so much fun. It's a great game. Oh, don't forget. Let me hit you guys with the schedule for the rest of the day. Because we got a lot of content going on. Let me pull it up on my old phone here. So immediately after this show at 11 a.m., you'll get Laffy for the MLB strategy show. Greg and Eric will be live for MLB Live Before Lock at 5:45. And then I will be back for NBA Live Before Lock tonight, 8 p.m. Eastern time. We'll do a half hour breaking down this game because not out of the realm of possibility that there's a starting lineup change for the Thunder. They could very easily go to Caruso in the starting lineup over Hartenstein if they wanted to. And then I will be live on Playback tonight, playback.tv/Stokastic. We're there for tip-off. You guys can watch the game along with me. I'm going to be there until that game is not competitive. Hopefully it's competitive, and we get to watch another fantastic NBA Finals game, because this series has been incredible. This has been as high a level basketball as I've ever seen played. I'm not sure that you can find, and Zach Lowe talked about it with Simmons Sunday night, or Friday, whatever, after the game Friday, maybe. Like, how many games do you think you could find in the last 10 years that had this level of speed, defense, aggression, whatever? I mean, I think we're watching essentially the best basketball we've ever seen. It's been amazing. We're certainly watching one of, if not the best defenses we've ever seen in OKC. And just the effort level here is on another level. I'm going to build the lineup out. Let's see what we're getting to here. You guys can do the same thing by signing up at Stokastic, link in the description. While the NBA might be over shortly, baseball's going nowhere. MMA is here all the time. Golf is here all the time. NASCAR is here. Hockey is still here for a little bit yet. Yeah, Trell, I think you're misremembering it a little bit. Now, let me be clear. More raw talent on the court for that series, whether it's LeBron, Kyrie, Kevin Love, Steph, Clay, Draymond. The raw talent level, certainly higher. But as a collective, I think this is better basketball. Let's find out who we want to put here in the captain spot. Okay, so at the captain spot, Shea is about 20 points better than J-Dub and Halliburton. And like 30 better than Siakam Holmgren. Part of me honestly feels like I want to go Halliburton here, but I hate that with a raging passion. So I'm going to go... I don't think this is going to work out well for me, but I'm going to go Chet, Shea, Siakam, and then I'm going to grab Kenrich. And if I complete that lineup, it gives me Ben Shepherd and what? J-Dub? Let's see how that looks. Yeah, -9. I think it was the Kenrich piece. Let's take out Shepherd. Let's take out J-Dub. If I don't go Shepherd or Kenrich, is the extra 1,000 worth the extra 2 points at the same ownership? Let's find out. If I go Wiggins, that completes with Hartenstein and Nembhard. Spends the full salary. It's going to be neutral, I think. Yeah, I'm abandoning Chet at the captain spot. I think I'm dropping down too far there. Let's see what it looks like with J-Dub, SGA, Siakam. And then I'm going to get my discounted ownership from Aaron Wiggins. That completes with Nembhard and Wallace. Well, that's certainly a very different construction. Projection looks better here. I think this should be positive. Positive 14.5. J-Dub, Aaron Wiggins, Andrew Nembhard, Kaysen Wallace, Pascal Siakam, and Shea Gilgeous-Alexander. Man, we got a lot going on yet today. You guys get Laffy for MLB Strategy Show in about 13 minutes. He and I will have the perfect lineup video out later this afternoon if you're playing on the MLB side today. But you guys know what we're here for. Exceptional basketball. I don't know who it's going to end up being today, but we are going to get a hell of a game 5, or at least I certainly hope that we do. So guys, please hit that like button if you haven't done it yet. Subscribe to the channel. Hit the notification bell so you know when everything goes live. I appreciate you guys being here. This was fun. We're back on Thursday, one way or the other. No matter what, we got a game on Thursday. If they split them, I'll see you guys on Sunday night for Game 7 of the NBA Finals, which would be quite fun. Otherwise, I'll see you guys tonight.